Just saying, there are sequences in this movie that you should not watch while high on LSD because you will just flip out so badly. Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell and this is once again coming from my apartment. Now today we are going to be talking about the film Doctor Strange. Now this is obviously one of my most anticipated films of the year, and it's the first film of November that I'm seeing, and so let's dive into this thing. Now, as you would expect, this film focuses on the neurosurgeon Dr. Stephen Strange, and I like the fact that we get to open up the film seeing him as a doctor. We just see the huge success and brilliant person that he is, how he's able to just perform these miraculous surgeries and just know exactly what he's doing. He's a brilliant person. He's like a slightly lesser version of Sherlock. That's how he plays. I also thought that Benedict Cumberbatch did a really good job as the character, but also did a really good job with his American accent. It honestly didn't really bug me that much, especially when I'm used to him with the British accent in most everything else that he does. And on top of that, I thought that Benedict Cumberbatch really captured the character of Stephen Strange. I haven't read any of the comics, I know very little about the character, but for what I do know about the character, I felt like he really captured kind of the arrogance of the guy, but also the guy who's really just curious about these mystic arts once he comes to know of them. We also have Rachel McAdams in the film as the love interest of sorts, and I enjoyed her role a lot more than I was expecting to, and she's in the movie a lot more than I was expecting her to be as well, so that was kind of a cool thing. I enjoyed her and Benedict Cumberbatch's chemistry. I thought that they worked really well on screen. Now, the general idea of this film, like I said, we got Stephen Strange. He's a brilliant surgeon, and one day he's in a car accident which just destroys his hands, and he is just obsessed, or he becomes obsessed with trying to fix them and get them back to the state that they were in previously. And that is one of the best parts about this movie, I thought, is just seeing just how dark of a place this character ends up going, because just based on his obsession with trying to get his body back to its state that it was. And you see just the terrible person that he was just come out, and you really can't really root for this guy right away, just because he honestly is a dick. But then he hears about this guy who was just in a completely non-movable state. He goes to this place in India, I think, and ends up coming back, able to walk and move around and everything. He goes to investigate. He ends up meeting up with a guy named Mordo, who introduces them to this whole sorcerer society that I am not thinking of the name of. And he introduces him to Tilda Swinton, who is the ancient one, and he discovers this ancient magic stuff which is happening, and we have our movie, essentially. The magic effects in this film are also very, very cool, especially when we first get to see them on screen. It all looks very, very cool, especially when they can start to affect the environment around the area. And I thought they explained how, like, in reality we don't really see those effects, and you have like this mirror dimension that they create in which they're able to manipulate the environment. I thought all that stuff looked very, very neat, and you can tell that it took a lot of inspiration from Inception, and I thought that was a really cool thing. It also has a lot of the Marvel humor that we're used to. That's something which I always appreciate seeing. We have a lot of funny scenes, and it just really stands out amongst this movie because they fit really, really well with the characters. And you can tell that while there are a lot of serious things which happen in this movie, there's still enough lighthearted stuff that it makes it really fun. That being said, I did have my issues with this movie, and part of that is my favorite parts of the movie were from the beginning, with Stephen Strange as this arrogant guy, seeing just the struggle and the pain that he goes through once he loses the ability to use his hands. And then him learning slowly to at least be able to use magic to some capacity. There comes a point in the movie where they kind of just speed that up and try to get him as close as possible to Sorcerer Supreme level. And I understand why they're doing that, because that's what he's mainly known for, and they want to get him to that level for Infinity War, and possibly for the next Thor movie. But it kind of bugged me a little bit because it just seemed very fast-paced and didn't really seem to fit with the progress that he was making. And so that kind of bugged me. Like, there's one scene where he's just struggling to even create anything, and then the next scene or two he's just whipping stuff out magically and doesn't seem to have any problem doing it. And that just kind of bugged me because it didn't really seemed like we got to see the effort that he was making pay off. We don't get to have that like revelation moment, and even when he does end up conjuring something, we actually don't really see it happen, or the bewilderment on his face or anything like that. And that just kind of annoyed me for some reason. And the rest of the film kind of ends up being disappointing, at least to me. And just honestly got kind of boring. I don't know why, but it just did. It kind of slowed down. It got less interesting. Mads Mikkelsen plays the main villain. He's not really that interesting of a character. And I thought that the finale, while the conflict itself was relatively interesting, it didn't really wrap up in a very satisfying way. And I won't spoil it, obviously, but it wasn't that interesting to watch, and it wasn't that exciting. I honestly felt like this movie was more of a setup thing. It set up more of like the magic and supernatural universe of the MCU, and set up more Doctor Strange-esque stuff, because a lot of people are speculating that Phase 4, 5, 6 are going to more focus on this element of Doctor Strange's universe, and he's going to be more of the centerpiece like Iron Man was for the first 3. And I think that they're kind of right, because they set up kind of one of the main villains, which could come back. I don't know. That being said, this isn't a bad movie per se. It's a good film. I enjoyed my time watching it for the 2 hours and 10 minutes that it ran. I just ended up being kind of disappointed with the ending of it in the last third of the film, honestly. Because, again, performances, everything is good. I just thought that they could have done it better to an extent. It just kind of disappointed me. And then, as with most Marvel films, there are 2 extra scenes, one during the credits, one after the credits. Definitely stick around for those, because I think they're really interesting. They kind of lead into what to expect with 2 different Marvel films to come. So, guys, those are my thoughts on Doctor Strange. Again, I enjoyed it as a film. I just thought it could have been better, and I definitely think Civil War is like ranking way higher up than Doctor Strange at this point in regards to quality. So, those are just my thoughts, though. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like it more than I did? Did you like it the same? Did you like it less? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe once again if you so choose. I appreciate it immensely. And so, as many people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on watching.